leading into it, as a Canadian British national who studied in Chicago, who's filmed in LA, and I see snow in the background, where in the world are you right now? Because I can't figure that out.
Well, dude, guess where I am, man? I'm actually in Montreal, where we filmed Three Pines. Yeah, no, I was born here and ended up living in California for about half my life, I guess, and then came back here and yeah, ended up booking Three Pines, and so I'm still here. I've basically been here at least from just before the pandemic, and yeah, it's cool, man. I mean, I was before then as well, but I was kind of back and forth a lot between here and LA, and then I've just been here for like the better part of the last 3 years, I guess.
Before I ask more about Three Pines, you lived in LA and you did stand up at a legendary club or two in your day.
I did,
Were
yeah.
you doing stand up because you really wanted to be a comic, or is it a career transition and trying something new?
That's a really good question, man. At the time, my focus and my training and my background was strictly as an actor, but I loved comedy, and I'd always felt like I had I had a faculty for comedy, but I don't know. I saw myself having the creative freedom that stand-up comedy offers, and I was struggling, to book jobs. I had been, well, let's just say this. I had started my career in the US in Chicago, although I went to school in the Southern California, in the LA area.
Mm-hmm.
So after school, I went to Chicago, and then went back to LA, and then went back to Chicago to do some plays, and then returned to LA after I lost out on a role with the Steppenwolf Theater that was going to go to Broadway. Struggled for 2 years, didn't book anything. And then I just had this like light bulb go on that was like, dude, just write your own stuff and get up and do stand up. So I didn't really have like a long game plan in mind or a blueprint to kind of follow as far as how that was going to end up looking or unfolding. But I just knew I wanted to have the creative freedom to get up there and just be like, screw all this, like trying to jump through these hoops and whatever, just here I am. This is what I think about this and that, and this is the way I'm seeing the world. And, at least for a little period of time, it got the ball rolling for me in a new direction and kind of jump started some things. I mean, if nothing else, it got me a good agent at like I would say a top 10 agency at the time. And yeah, what happened actually is a literary agent was dating a girl that was in a stand-up comedy workshop that I was doing. And this girl, I don't know. I won't say her name, but she's somewhat of a well-known person now. But she asked me after this presentation or this, Showtime night that we did at the Comedy Store. She was like, "Can I give the tape to my boyfriend? He's an agent." I was like, "Sure." So I think I was homeless at the time, and I was crashing at a friend's place in Park La Brea, if you're familiar with LA.
Yeah.
And do you live in LA, by the way?
I did some time just hanging around and figuring out, hey, am I an LA person? But New York is the past, present, and future.
Awesome, brother. I love New York. So yeah, I was staying with a friend in Park La Brea, and I had a pager at the time. I didn't even have a cell phone, and my pager went off, and it was this unknown number. I'd never, 323 number, but yeah. I called it, and it was this agent guy, and anyway, yeah, long story short, he was cool, man. He really got behind me, and his sister was actually Lauren Holly, who had done Dumb and Dumber with Jim and Carrey. So and had been married. Sorry, I should have led with that. She was married to Jim Carrey, and so he said he saw some Jim Carrey in me, and I think he said like Bill Pullman, a little Tom Hanks, and he was like, come in, we'll sit down, we'll talk, we'll see what's up. And so after that, I sat down with the whole, around a big conference room table with all these agents, and they were like, I don't know if I mentioned he was a literary agent, and so he brought me in, and all the talent agents were like, "So what do you want to do? You're a comic that wants to be an actor," and I was like, actually, I'm an actor who started doing comedy, and I'm kind of open to doing both, but really, I'm an actor. And they're like, "Oh, okay." So they steered me towards television. And then then after that, I was up for this WB pilot that they were actually, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say all this stuff, but it is so long ago, it probably doesn't matter. You know the show How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
The actor Josh Radnor.
Oh yeah. I've had the pleasure of
played,
interviewing him. He's now a singer-songwriter in his own right.
He's awesome, man. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So he had done this pilot with WB, and for whatever reason, because he's great, but for whatever reason, they didn't think it was working with him. So I ended up becoming kind of like the front runner to replace him in this pilot. And I went, it went all the way to the studio. I met the head of Warner Brothers at the time. And I mean, I was like basically homeless at this whole time. And I drive into Warner Brothers and there's like a parking spot with my name on it, and I was like, hey, this is crazy. I was doing parties for kids on the weekends dressed up like Pikachu, and Teletubbies and stuff like that. And my car was a Geo Metro that was white, but it had a green door that didn't open. And I had to like climb out of the window to get it. It was a mess. But so I go in there to read for this role, and you walk in, and I was like the one guy. The read before that was at Paramount with the Weitz brothers. They were the guys that were doing it, Chris and Paul Weitz, about
American
a boy,
Pie and all that.
There you go, American Pie. Yeah, so I guess they liked me, but I felt like it went okay. But then, long story short, they ended up making an offer to one of the actors from American Pie. So it didn't go my way, but that opened a lot of doors for me. And so after that, I gradually started booking more, TV stuff, and the comedy stuff I kept doing until, well, kind of even relatively recently, but I was going pretty steady with the comedy stuff for probably till about 2012 or something. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, it, just kind of, I don't know, man, the cookie crumbled the way it did, and maybe I'll pick it back up again sometime, but acting kind of became my primary focus, which it always really was. But I don't know. I guess it served its purpose at that time.
And now there's Three Pines on Amazon. When you started filming, did you know that it was an Amazon original or a Prime Video original as opposed to going to Channel A or Channel B?
Yeah, no, we did know because I saw it in the breakdown. I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I guess my agent I'm not really sure if they asked for me or if my agent just submitted me and then they were like, okay, let's see what he brings. But whatever the case may be, I put a tape down and then I didn't hear anything for a while. And then they came back right before, literally, I think the day I was starting a movie, and I had this long hair because of COVID and all that business, and a shaggy, that thing, that's whatever that thing was that's been happening. And in this shaggy beard, and I was like, I was like about to start this movie, so they were about to chop it all off, and my agent calls. He's like, "Don't cut the beard, don't cut the hair." He was like, Three Pines is interested, and they don't want you to touch anything with your look. I was like, but I'm about to start this movie. I got to play this clean cut producer guy. And so I talked to the producers of that show, and they were like, oh, okay. We kind of found a compromise, and they trimmed the hair and kind of brought the beard down a bit. As it turned out, with Three Pines, they didn't really keep the beard. They kind of gave me a 5 o'clock shadow, but they really wanted me to have this long hair, which I was kind of ready to let go of the long hair, but they really liked the long hair look, and okay, fair enough, so I kind of rolled with it. And so that was kind of that. But I mean, I wasn't offered the part at that point. It was just like, oh, you're in the mix, so don't cut your hair, they love your look. So then they had me read for another role, and then they came back for Peter Morrow, and then I did a chemistry read on Zoom, right? With Anna Tierney, and which is hilarious because you can't even look at her because your eyeline will be all jacked up if you do. And so and then I didn't hear anything. So that was a Thursday afternoon. Didn't hear anything that rest that night. Didn't hear anything Friday. Nothing over the weekend. Nothing Monday. And I'm like, this puppy's dead in the water, for sure. There's no way. I know they're shooting in a week or whatever. They're gonna start rolling, And so I was kind of like, oh well. And then Tuesday, just after lunch, my agent calls and he's like, hi, can I speak to Mr. Peter Morrow, please? And I was like, holy cow, really? So that was pretty trippy, but yeah, it was cool. I knew it was Amazon because the breakdown. That was a really long answer to a very simple question.
No, that was a fun answer. When I spoke with your co-star, Sarah Booth, she mentioned having the chance to do some prep related to the role, to learn around police officers and all that. Not that it was so easy because it was COVID and all that, but you came on board less than a week before shooting started. So I can't imagine you got to do much homework on the role.
No, that's exactly right, man. It was, yeah, like I said, it was roughly, well, I guess I got word I was cast. Well, I would say it was more than 2 weeks before I started shooting my stuff, but they had either already started rolling on the show or they were just about to. But as far as my stuff, I did what I could as far as, the books and things like that. But I was more concerned about the scripts and just kind of familiarizing, hate that word, familiarizing myself with the scripts, because that's kind of, what you really have to mind, I think, more than anything. People talk about, well, source material. Were you concerned about source material? I was like, look, yes, but we got scripts, we got teleplays, screenplays. That's what I got to really get into and see where they're taking this thing, because it's an adaptation. It's not a carbon copy translation or whatnot. So yes, I got a bit into the books, and then we started shooting, and then I was still kind of reading the books and started noticing some things that were kind of a little bit, different from the way Left Bank and Sam Donovan and Emilia De Girolamo were taking the adaptation, and I didn't want to get in my head about it, so I kind of put the books down for the rest of the shoot. I'm back in them again now, but yeah, I sort of had to put it down a bit because I was like, I'm not wearing glasses. Louise Penny says Peter Morrow always wears glasses and perfectly clean shaven and has a nice haircut and is all preppy, and I'm not preppy and all that. So I had my little kind of meltdown with that for like a day or two, and then I just let it go. I was like, you know what? I don't know. I'm an out of the box Peter Morrow. I'm a TV version of Peter Morrow. I'm 10 or 15 years younger than Peter Morrow is in the books. I was like, it's just going to be its own thing. And maybe that'll evolve later. Maybe he'll wear glasses later if we keep going. But yeah, you catch my drift, man.
I do. Well, being mindful of your time here, because hey, it's the holiday season. The last question I have for you.
No, I ask away, man. Honestly, I'm good, bro. My wife's in the mall. I don't know what she's doing in there. She took my credit card, and I better put my seatbelt on pretty soon, but no, you got time, man. Unless you got to go, I'm good, bro. We can talk. It's fine.
Well, when you speak to actors in this day and age, you know that things were filmed a year ago, 2 years ago. The IMDb page does not have the latest and the greatest necessarily because Variety.com embargoes or Hollywood Reporter embargoes. So you never know what people are working on and if they're allowed to say what they're working on. Now, Three Pines, fantastic stuff here.
Thanks, man.
Are you allowed to say what's next, or is it Three Pines all the time, forever and ever?
I guess that remains to be seen. At the moment, as far as personal projects and things like that, I am working on writing. I'm a writer. I mentioned Josh Radnor earlier. You probably know that he's a pretty good writer and director and producer in his own right. Well, I don't want to rabbit trail. My brain is like so nonlinear, man. I'm just like all over the place here. And I'm in like
you don't have the handler that's giving you 4-minute junket windows. So this is your rare opportunity to expound and explain.
Yeah, exactly. In a Home Depot parking lot at that. But yeah, no. So what am I up to, or what's next? What can I say? Well, as far as Three Pines goes, I don't know how much I can reveal, but I can say that we're not officially picked up yet. We're not officially picked up. And as you probably know, we've been doing quite well. I mean, we were number one in 5 countries for about 3 weeks, including the US, including Australia, Ireland, Canada, and the UK, which was tremendous. And I think now I believe we got bumped by Jack Ryan, so we're like 2 now, and I'm on Amazon, of course. I'm not talking like overall, and that's more or less to be expected. John Krasinski's awesome, and Jack Ryan. I mean, what can you say? And I think people were waiting for that to come out for a while, weren't we waiting for Jack Ryan for some time? So
and to its to your credit, and not so much to Jack Ryan, that was built on a film franchise, an existing novel that was a bestseller globally.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a little
Exactly.
bit of expectations.
Yeah, totally, man. And rightfully so, absolutely. No, I mean, I'm not going to say I don't, maybe I should say we've exceeded expectations. I mean, we're really happy, man. At the premiere, there was such good vibes and good energy, and yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, I have been in this business for quite a while, and so you sort of try to stay pretty level and not get your hopes up too much for one thing or the other, because sometimes things don't have a lot of rhyme or reason to them. But I guess it's probably fair to say that we're pretty hopeful, because the reception has been so nice, and I think critically too, we've gotten mostly good reviews. I kind of feel, if you don't mind me rambling for a bit, I kind of feel like the reviews that weren't super hot, which there weren't really many, but I kind of felt like those guys, and fair enough, like I totally respect whatever people think, or how you view a piece of art is sort of subjective, right? But I kind of felt like some people didn't really understand or didn't get what we were doing when it came to some of the reviews that weren't the greatest. It was stylized on purpose, you know what I mean? And we're drawing these from novels. In some cases, there were lines taken directly from the page of the books. And so that prose-like thing was on purpose. I just read one review that was like, the guy was like, "Oh, she said a line that sounded like a poem or something." I'm like, that's the thing, man. That's what this thing is. And it's really tricky to take a 485 page book and basically adapt it to over 2 episodes, 115 pages of screenplay, I guess, roughly. And Amelia and Catherine, these writers, I mean, just did an incredible job of doing that. I thought, finding that balance. And yeah, so there's that, like, God willing, like we'll get a chance to keep going and get this momentum like swinging, hopefully beyond even 2 seasons, and have a chance to really flesh these things out, man. I think people will enjoy and appreciate that. I know I would. So yeah, we're keeping our fingers crossed, I guess you could say. But as far as anything else, like I said, I love writing. I've been writing for a while. I had some stuff in 2020. We had a really incredible, pretty big name director involved with something that I was doing with my writing partner in LA, and he kind of jumped off. That's a whole other story, and that was totally fine. So now it's kind of ours to see what we want to do with it. And then I have 1 or 2 other things that I'm hoping to maybe pitch to a production company up here. We'll see what happens with that stuff. But as far as anything else, I do have an 8-month-old son at home, or in the mall right now with his mom.
Sure.
And so that's been like a major focus for me. And I do a lot of voiceover stuff too, actually, which I really enjoy. I've been doing some stuff for Netflix. There's a Netflix series called Vincenzo, which I'm actually the voice of Vincenzo for the American or English dub.
Oh, I didn't know about that. When you say voiceovers, I mean, you've also been part of some very big video game franchises as well. A lot of people go, "What have I seen you in?" In your case, it's "What have I seen and or heard you in?"
Yeah, correct. Yeah, exactly. Honestly, like Rainbow Six Siege, for example, is a pretty big video game. I've been the sort of voice of that game, HQ, the kind of anchor voice from the beginning. And it's really become this pretty big thing. I think we've surpassed 70 million subscribers or something like that, which is pretty good. So yeah, a couple people have heard my voice like from time to time. Back in the day when I was a kid, I was the voice of Mowgli in the Jungle Book anime series, and I was Pepito and Madeline. So I won't sing you all those songs about.
It's you and Cree Summer for the obscure child voiceover roles that you don't realize that people did once they're grown up.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, well, man, that's pretty good company to be in, right? So, but yeah, did that kind of thing, and then and then after I got back up here, I managed to get back involved with dubbing, which is when you're more or less you in Montreal, at least, they do it with a band, so you see the words coming across the screen, and then there's a bar. Then when the word hits the bar, you say the word, and that's how they sync it up. It sounds pretty simple. It's not necessarily as simple as that, but you get the hang of it. It's like riding a bike, so yeah, so done a bunch of stuff for that. I had a lead role in this one called Narco Saints that was out, which was pretty cool. I love doing that stuff, man. I just love voiceovers, and I love
Working.
dubbing. Exactly, to boil it down, I just love working. Exactly. You know, man, you must know what you're talking about, because it sure sounds like it. But yeah, I
Well,
love
thank
working,
you.
man. I really, yeah,
Thank you. Well,
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
bottom line is this, congratulations on Three Pines, and looking forward to the next thing you do, whether it's another season of that, something you're writing, something it's just the voice. Looking forward, Julian, and really
Yeah.
appreciate your time today.
No, I appreciate it, Darren. Thank you for having me on. It was a lot of fun. Appreciate it.
Paltrocast.